Hello and welcome to Devil's Advocate. Can the merger of Air India and Indian Airlines create a world-class airline? That's the key issue I shall explore today in an interview with the Minister of Civil Aviation, Praful Patel. Mr. Patel, in a statement in Parliament on the 2nd of March, you said, "It is our objective to create a world-class airline, which would set fresh benchmarks for efficiency and reliability." Is that therefore the aim and objective behind this merger?
Certainly, of course, we would like to make a world-class airline. The days when Indian Airlines and Air India were formed, they were monopolies. There really wasn't any problem because one was international, one was domestic. And now with the advent of competition, we've got airlines which are domestic airlines like Jet Airways, Sahara. They're already eligible to fly abroad, and soon other airlines will be going abroad. So we need an integrated world-class airline of scale and size.
So are you hoping that the new entity will be able to compete with Singapore Airlines and Emirates, perhaps even British Airways and Lufthansa?
Certainly. If you look at the profile of Emirates and Singapore Airlines, a bulk of their passengers come from India.
In which case, let's look at the challenge you've taken on. There's no doubt that the merger will give you the size and scale to achieve your objective. The real question is, how will the airline operate? Can you guarantee that it will be free to take commercial independent decisions without political interference?
Well, absolutely.
When you say absolutely, is that a guarantee?
It is a guarantee. Even today, Indian Airlines, Air India are free to take their decisions.
Well, let's leave even today out. I'm talking of the future. You're guaranteeing that the new merged entity will take independent commercial decisions free of political interference.
Guarantee.
Let's then test that guarantee. Most people say that the first sign of the autonomy of the airline will in fact be the quality and caliber of people you appoint to the board of directors. Will they be professionals, or will they be in one form or another government servants and bureaucrats?
No, I don't think that is going to happen. Ultimately,
what's not going to happen?
No, let the entity be coming into place, and we will ensure that people of the highest caliber, people of the highest integrity, people even who understand aviation, because that's very relevant. It's a specialized business. Those are the kind of people who must be on the job.
Well, let me point out to you that at the moment, the existing board of Indian Airlines and Air India consists of 16 people, 15 of whom are in one form or another government employees and bureaucrats. Only one is an outsider. Will you ensure that the balance is very different on the new entity?
Absolutely, that will happen, and we will show a time, yes, and it will happen in 2007. It's not going to be too far away.
So it's a guarantee?
Of course.
Secondly, can you ensure that the new airline is not subject to politicians and ministers wanting special favors or using it as a place where they can find jobs for their friends or relatives?
Frankly speaking, Karan, it's not even happening today.
It's happened in the past with Air India many times, you know that.
It may have happened in the past, but it's not happening anymore today.
MPs have a habit on Air India requesting special favors, wanting upgrades, wanting special treatment when they go abroad. Will that happen here or not?
Listen, upgrade and special favors are available with every airline in the world. Misuse and abuse of powers is not going to happen. What is in the interest of the airline is only paramount.
Let me ask you a test question. If an airline employee of the new merged entity were to be approached by an MP or a minister for some abuse, some unwarranted favor and refused, would he be protected or would he be punished?
He's protected even today. You can check.
Quite often they get pushed out as a result as well.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Of course they will be protected. As I say, while we're talking, they're being protected. They will not have any kind of problems in the future.
So no political interference, full stop.
Correct.
All right. You're guaranteeing to me that you will have independent directors who are professionals. You're guaranteeing to me that there will be no political interference. That apart, you still have a further problem. As a PSU, the new airline will be subject to the government's reservations and quotas and to government fixed salary levels, whereas its competitors will not have to carry that cross. Now, how do you settle this one?
No, I don't think that's going to be a problem. The reasons are very simple. That the airline industry, the salaries across the board, whether it's private or public, the salary structures are very high. So that shouldn't be a problem.
So there will be no government limitation on what salaries are paid to critical employees?
No, there is no real restriction even today.
No, not for pilots.
No, pilots.
I'm talking about professional managers.
No.
That's where your test comes.
No, they will not have a problem.
They will not have a problem.
They will not have
Another guarantee.
Yes, of course.
You know, let me point out to you that if you get it wrong, you run the risk of a new merged entity that will perhaps carry an interest burden of $900 million a year sinking before it can even swim. That's the downside.
No, the interest burden is irrespective whether you merge the airline or not, because we're buying new planes after 20 years.
It's one thing to sink when you're not merged, it's another thing to sink after the merger.
No, that is not true. In fact, the merger brings in more synergies, brings in more cost saving, makes it more effective, makes it much more serviceable.
Let me put one thing to you. Would you now consider an IPO? Last year when I interviewed you, you guaranteed that it would happen by the 31st of March 2007. On the 10th of February, your Joint Secretary R.K. Singh has told the unions that it is not going to happen. His exact words were, there is no proposal for disinvestment of government interest in the new entity post-merger. So regarding the IPO, where do things stand?
No, you see, last year we would have put the IPO in place. The problem was the market stand.
This year?
The issue now came up for the merger, and even the advisors to the IPO last year told us that the valuations on a standalone basis for Indian Airlines and Air India were not really good.
So now that you're merging it,
after merging, we will certainly look at every aspect of how do we raise money, how do we bring in more accountability.
Forgive me, can I interrupt? When you say look at every aspect, are you saying yes, there will be an IPO, or are you simply saying we'll consider it?
No, of course we'll consider it.
Only consider it?
No, of course.
So there's no guarantee any longer?
No. I am not saying that. We don't rule out anything. Ultimately, you see, Karan, it has to be based on valuations. If the joint entity is, as the advisors told us...
Minister, most people say that an IPO is the surest guarantee that the airline will be functioning independently and commercially. That is why people look for an IPO.
Also does not mean that you lose the public sector character, and that we will not, and we will continue to be a PSU by going public and by giving ESOPs to the employees also.
But will you go public on the stock exchanges?
I have said it on many occasions.
But that's no longer guaranteed now. Is it guaranteed?
No, of course
so it's only considered.
No.
Last year it was guaranteed, and now it's on the books to be considered.
The government had never taken a formal decision.
You said so to me in an interview. You guaranteed it would happen by the 31st of March.
Yes, but that was because the valuations were not coming right on a standalone basis.
Let's move beyond the IPO. The second critical test of whether this new entity will operate commercially and independently is the quality of professionals at the very top, particularly the CEO. Will you have someone who is a professional businessman with experience of handling difficult or awkward mergers?
No, I don't think the businessman is only a solution. We will have the right man at the right place. That is what I guarantee.
You mean the right man at the right place could in your eyes be, in fact, a government civil servant?
It could be a civil servant. Why do you think all civil servants are unable to function?
Except that they don't have business experience.
No, I think
and they don't have experience of handling mergers.
I think it's a very cynical view if that is
It's a truthful view.
No, I think I've been in government long enough now to understand that there are excellent bureaucrats who can handle absolutely difficult situations. And if the Ministry of Civil Aviation has become vibrant, has transformed, is delivering and is being visible because for the right reasons, not for the wrong reasons, it is because it's a combination of the will and the hard work of the bureaucrats put together.
That the man who will be CEO, or the woman, will be handling a task that in fact no bureaucrat in India has ever handled in 57 years of independence, the merger of two entities in a highly competitive domestic as well as international market. That is why I say to you that if you were to choose Tulsidas of Air India or Trivedi of Indian Airlines, they are neither businessmen nor do they have experience of this tricky situation. Therefore, you run an unnecessary risk.
Well, I don't think there's a risk. Government has got its own way of functioning, and we will ensure that we find the right person for the right job.
You're literally perhaps a week away from the start of the merger on the 1st of April, if you stand by the date you yourself have announced. Who will be your CEO?
Well, you'll see in a week's time.
Is it a secret that you can't tell us today?
No, the process of consultation in government is going on, and I cannot give you anything until anything is formalized.
Has the decision been made?
No, the decision has not been.
You mean there's a week to go and you still haven't decided who the top man will be?
It's not a week to go.
So when will in fact the merger start?
We have said 16 weeks from the day of the decision of the cabinet.
That's to finalize the merger at the top levels. What about the CEO?
The CEO will come in place within the next fortnight.
Within the next fortnight?
Yes.
By the 5th of April, will you have a CEO?
Yes, of course.
In place?
In place.
Not just announced, but in place?
Yes.
Actually
chairman
functioning?
And managing director. That's what we call it.
Let me put one thing else to you. People say that you're doing something that's never been done before. There have been several American mergers that have failed and you know it. Therefore, will you in this instance, to give yourself the requisite expertise, hire someone from either Air France KLM or Lufthansa, Swissair, who's handled such mergers, to give you the necessary advice during the initial tricky stages?
We have Accenture, which is a global consulting company, which has been advising us on the entire nitty-gritties of merger.
But they may not have the experience you need.
No,
Will you hire someone
they,
from these two merged airlines with the experience?
We have, what do you mean? Accenture is a consulting company. They take best practices. They give us the models of all the international
Do you think
airlines.
that's sufficient for your purpose?
Of course it's enough. And of course we have good people in the system. Don't think that Air India, Indian Airlines are devoid of people, that they've been functioning for all these 50 years without the right people or without people of experience.
Except for the fact, Minister, they have to handle a challenge no one in this country is handling.
Yes, because the problem was for 20 years the government did not allow them to buy planes. It was not a fault of Air India or Indian Airlines either.
All right.
Or neither the people who are there. I can tell you, I can name 10 fine officers in each airline who I think are capable of taking these airlines
Let me
or
point
a
out
joint
something to
entity
you. You're naming
to the
10,
next generation.
you want to name 10 fine officers in each airline. In fact, this is the other problem you face. Many of the top officers in your airline, in fact, are either retiring or their tenures are about to end. I'm talking about V.K. Vera, the commercial director of Air India. He retires in 8 months' time. Punani, the financial director, he goes at the end of this year. Even your CMD is on extension.
You mean to say there were no other people in the organization?
But you're going to lose critical people at critical times.
Do you know that every airline of success in India, like Jet Airways, Kingfisher, Sahara, or Indigo, or any airline, has got the best people from Indian Airlines and Air India in the past?
Now you need to keep them, not hand them over to others. That's what I'm
So
saying.
you mean to say over 50 years,
So
Air
you're
India,
happy
Indian
to
Airlines,
lose?
even after... No, it's not a question of lose.
Can't you retain them?
Once people go, we always get the next lot of people.
Okay, let's take a break. You sound confident. Let's come back and talk about two critical issues which may seem small, but they could be devastating if badly handled. Stick with us. There's more to come. Welcome back to Devil's Advocate and an interview with the Civil Aviation Minister. Minister, you want to create a world-class airline that can compete with Singapore Airlines and Emirates. Now, you know that the quality of an airline is determined by the quality of its personnel. But by dragging your feet over the critical issue of paying 10-year wage arrears to Indian airline employees, you're virtually ensuring that 55% of the workforce of your new merged entity will be disgruntled and unhappy. Is that wise?
No, I do not agree with this kind of a view. See, what we are talking is about wage negotiations which have not taken place for the last 10 years.
You've dragged your feet at this
We
critical
have
point.
not dragged our feet, my friend. There are many rules and rules within government. There are guidelines. We have to function within the scope of those guidelines. And yet, after achieving what we have to, we still have to get a world-class airline. It's a challenge. I'm not saying that everything 2 and 2 is so simplistically put as 4.
Let me put it like this.
It's going to be actually working hard to achieving the desired objective.
Let me put it like this. We're talking of a sum of money of around 700 crores. Do you really believe that it is so large that you want to endanger the objective of a merger by refusing to pay it?
No, who's saying we are not going to pay?
So are you prepared to pay those arrears?
No, we have to. If they see whether
you haven't committed yourself to it yet.
Merger or no merger, employees' issues have to be resolved.
But will the arrears be paid? Will the arrears be paid?
The wage negotiations and all these discussions are still underway.
Because
there is no finality yet, and I'm sure it is based on the ability. Whether, hypothetically, if there was no merger, would you not want to see that a wage negotiation takes place?
Oh, I would
you not want to see that
Indian airline unions are today absolutely convinced that whilst the government may raise their wages to Air India levels, the arrears for 10 years won't be paid. Are you now saying to them, in this interview, don't be worried, those arrears will be tackled?
I am saying don't be worried. We will find ways to find an amicable solution to all pending issues. That is what I have assured them.
Including the arrears.
Something will have to be done.
Okay, let's leave it there. You say something will have to be done. Let's hope that something is something positive.
Do you want to see both airlines sinking rather than seeing a hope and an opportunity?
That's why I'm asking the question.
An opportunity by becoming one to be
That's why I asked the question.
There.
When 55% of your workforce is disgruntled, you're going to sink the airline. They will be if they don't get their arrears. But you've just now said something will be done. That's opening a window of hope. Let's leave it there.
I have spoken to them.
Let's leave it there. You've spoken to them. Let's hope they've heard you here today as well. Let's turn to the second management issue that is going to be difficult for you. It's the accommodation and adjustment required of Air India managers, because historically, promotions at the executive level have been a lot faster in Indian Airlines than in Air India. you're going to end up with several instances where Indian Airlines general managers are younger than Air India deputy general managers, even though the latter have more experience and more seniority. How will you handle that?
No, there is a well laid out procedure to solve these kind of problems. And mind you, Karan, before we went into this exercise, a lot of work, detailing, and a lot of application of mine has gone into this process.
Can I interrupt?
And
Can I
only when we see that there is a hope at the end of the tunnel, we are going into this process. We have not done this blindly.
Air India employees, just like Indian Airlines employees, are listening to you carefully. Are you saying to their senior general managers, I will not allow this tricky situation to become a problem for you?
Yes.
Yes. So you're also saying to them that I know I need the foreign experience of Air India managers for the new airline, because they will be your only staff with experience of handling foreign locations, and you don't want them to suddenly go to Jet or Kingfisher.
You are absolutely then misinformed that only Air India managers who work abroad are the people who run the airline.
At a very small
it's
level,
absolutely
talking of
misinformed.
Hong Kong, Singapore,
My
Kuala
friend,
Lumpur,
they are all
Bangkok.
people who work in Mumbai and Delhi and who are transferred there for 2 years or 3 years or 4 years. Indian Airlines has got enough number of managers who are working in Dubai, in Kuwait,
But you have no
Singapore.
one in Indian Airlines who has experience of Paris, Washington, London, New York.
But neither did these Air India fellows who go there have the experience. They just go for 2 and 3 years.
But they do now.
I do not buy this theory.
You're taking back with the right hand what you gave with the left.
I do not buy.
You gave an assurance to Air India, now you seem to be undermining
I do not buy this theory of trying to say that just because few people are posted for 2 and 3 years, they know how to run an airline. In fact, the people who are running the airline have never really been abroad.
All right, you brought a smile on Air India Union faces, now you wiped it off yourself. That's your prerogative. Let's move to the last critical question. An airline depends upon its identity. That identity is its brand, and that is in fact its name. What will be the name of this new entity?
It's yet to be decided.
You haven't made up your mind?
No.
You haven't made up your mind?
Just listen to me.
It's 10 days away, perhaps even a week away.
No, it's not 10 days away, but you just listen to me. We have got the best of minds to give us a market analysis, a people's recall value as to what should be the name of the airline.
Can I suggest something? If people's recall value is so important, Air India has international recognition. The word Indian is awkward. Indian Airlines is not known outside India. Therefore, I suggest to you that it makes commercial sense to stick with Air India. Do you agree?
Let the advice come and we'll consider it. After all,
do you personally have an opinion?
No, I do not want to voice an opinion because I am like an independent, I'm an arbitrator, I'm a judge in this entire proceeding.
What about...
I do not want to be sounding for or against anybody or any interest groups. I just want to say that India should have a top-class, world-class airline, and it should be an airline which is able to take on the best. Very quickly,
what about the mascot and the logo? Time, effort, money for decades have been spent in popularizing the Maharaja and the Centaur. Does it make sense to jettison them?
You will see everything falling in 2 weeks, and I'm sure it will be broadly to the satisfaction to all concerned.
Very quickly, who will make these critical decisions about name, about mascot, about logo? Will it be politicians? Will it be bureaucrats? Or will it be professionals?
Professionals.
Professionals. You mean that?
I am saying we have got the best team of professionals advising us. Within a week, they will come with their recommendations, and I will go purely by professional advice.
And you won't be overridden by your cabinet colleagues or by Congress or NCP pressure?
Not to worry.
Minister, a pleasure talking to you on Devil's Advocate.
Thank you.